guys, thanks for joining Manta again for our Facebook Live presentation. This week we're talking about Facebook advertising. We've got Dan Sorensen here, awesome acquisition guy at Manta, and he's going to talk to you about some of the overall basic ways that you can really get into Facebook advertising, make it much easier for yourself, and get some sales for your business. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Heather.
A couple housekeeping items. One, go ahead and click the button right below our video right now, and you'll be able to get alerts on whenever we go live. You can also like Manta's Facebook page to get alerts. And we are going to be talking about Facebook advertising this week, but next week we're going to be talking about what being Google certified means. So tune in next Friday at the same time for that. And if you have any questions, go ahead, ask them during the presentation. We will get to them live right here. Dan's going to be able to answer those for you. And if you watch this after we're done live, go ahead and keep asking questions, and we'll be sure to answer you in the comments. So, all right, ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Okay, first question. How can small business owners leverage Facebook advertising to grow their sales?
So, well, Facebook is obviously a huge resource for small businesses. I mean, I don't know many businesses that don't have a Facebook page. It almost duels as a website where you have a place to update customers on new products, your services, your hours, if you're going to be closed on a holiday. It really gives you an immediate access to everyone who's interested in your business. I mean, that being said, though, it does give you a very large reach to put your business in front of customers that are likely to come shop or shop again. So here at Manta, we use Facebook extensively. We're using it to grow our business. We're also helping all of our small businesses that work with us to grow their businesses as well. So I think that's like a good place to start. A lot of our businesses are local businesses. They're smaller. They don't have a large national reach. And that being said, Facebook comes in really handy because compared to other advertisement channels like paid search, where you have to rely on people looking for your business, telling you this is, I'm looking for this pair of shoes, and you putting your website at the top of Google. This through Facebook, it kind of allows you to just outreach and put your business in front of people who are scrolling through, seeing what their friends are doing, reading the news, and then bam, like this new coffee shop is open in Columbus, Ohio, and I better check that out. Like, or there's a promotion or a sale. So in terms of leveraging it to grow your business, it's very unique because of the targeting that you have available. If you know that most of your business is from college students, you're in a college town between certain age ranges, these are all things you can pick out in Facebook to say, I want young women and young men between the ages of 19 and 27 who are interested in coffee shops. Maybe they are interested in certain authors of books because you know that people tend to be associated to certain things that relate to your business. And it gives you a way to just be in front of people. So the best thing to really do.
And Facebook has some good analytics for you to find out more about what your audience behaviors are like.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point. And a lot of what people don't take advantage of Facebook is actually looking at audience insights.
Yeah.
So within Facebook, you have a really large opportunity to say, in my town, in these age ranges, how many people are actually on Facebook? What does that look like?
Right.
Which is really probably, I'm glad you brought that up, Heather, because that's probably the best place to start. Just to understand, like, how many people in my town are on Facebook? And then who of those are men, who are women? What do those age ranges look like? And then, what's the opportunity for me to put my business in front of those people?
Right. Yeah, so you can really target. So we'll get into that, though, in just a minute. I want to talk about budget first. So we know small business owners have pretty tight budgets. They want to make sure they're getting the most bang for their buck. We've said before that Facebook advertising gives you really great ROI for the small spend that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the price of entry, though? If we're talking about testing something or starting a new campaign for a small business owner that's never done this, how much ballpark is that going to cost them?
It's really so convenient to get into Facebook advertising because any budget is really going to work.
Mm-hmm.
the most common way I think companies get into Facebook advertising is boosting a post,
Yes.
which is I'm sure most of the people watching it right now, a lot of the businesses that we work with our marketing pros, they're boosting posts, which is to say, I posted this thing about my business on my Facebook page, but I want more people to see it. And you can just decide, maybe I want to spend $5,
Right.
maybe I want to spend $10. It's the easiest way to get in and test, because you don't have to say, well, this month I'm going to spend $100 or $200 or $1,000 or more. You can say, well, let me see what happens when, hey, I've got an event coming up in my store next weekend. What happens if I just put $20 behind this event and get this out in front of people in my town?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a low cost of entry.
Yes. And that really puts you in an advantage, especially when you're testing versus something like radio. If you've never done a radio ad before, a lot of money has to go into it before you know whether or not it's really going to be successful for your business. So Facebook is a really good place to start for advertising, especially if you have a small budget. So I'm in absolute agreement.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Like the radio side,
Yeah.
a lot of ways to advertise take a lot of planning.
Yes.
Radio specifically, TV,
Yes.
print, they all require, what do I have up front? What do I need to say? What are the materials? How long is this going to run? And there's a lot of planning without a lot of knowing ahead of time that this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, Facebook gives you that way to kind of be nimble. Say, let me test $10 here. Let me test $20 here. And then once you see results coming back in, you can spend the time and say, okay, let me put a strategy together.
Yeah. So speaking of results, we want to talk about what metrics should we really be targeting? Is it likes? What does that mean for a business? If you are advertising on Facebook, say you've got $50 on an ad that's driving people back to your website, what kind of metrics are you looking for that?
It's a great question. I think that really varies in terms of where you are with your Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of businesses that we're working with now have small followings in their local towns, maybe a couple hundred people at that. Or it might be that you just created your Facebook page.
Yeah.
A lot of the businesses that we work with, we're helping them get started on Facebook.
Yes.
We're saying, okay, we're going to help you set up your Facebook page. These are the important things to have on here, but they might not have any following.
Right.
So it might make sense in that regard to spend a few dollars to get people to come to your page.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of sides of this kind of strategy in the industry of saying, well, why would I buy likes if I have to pay to put ads in front of these people anyways? Which is a valuable,
valid point.
It's a valid point.
Absolutely valid point. Yep.
It's a valid point. Like if once I have page fans, if it's going to cost me money to put ads in front of them anyways, like why would I pay to make them page fans? And the reason is that you get to hand select, and not that you can go out and request people to come follow my page, but you can put ads in front of people and explain to them what your business does, what the value is, and then the people who are interested are going to like your page.
Yeah.
And once they're page fans, you're basically growing your customer segment, whether they've bought from you or not, or come back to your store. At least you have a one-to-one connection, so that when you do decide to boost posts, typically you're boosting posts to page fans.
Yes.
And then you have people who look like page fans, or you just have general,
demographics. That you're trying to hit.
Exactly.
Yep.
So in terms of metrics, it's really going to vary by the strategy.
Yes.
Sometimes we're going to need to build this page up and get an audience following it, and that makes sense to look at your cost per like. Other times, you just need to look at the cost per click or the cost per engagement. It helps to get some interaction on your posts to help the reach. If you like something, if you comment on something, if you share something, it's creating an additional point of reach where Facebook is going to tell friends of that person who commented on it that they commented on it.
And they're also going to serve your posts more to the people that like your page. That's called edge rank, and it's really important that that you get more engagement on the posts you're already posting to increase that. So Facebook's not going to automatically post your post. Sorry, we keep using that term, but they're not going to push that message in front of all of your followers every single time. But the more engagement that you do get with your posts, the more often your followers will see it. So that, and there are different methods like Dan is talking about to increase that and to get organic reach versus paid. And
that's I think it's a little bit of a tangent off this question, but the reach that you get for a post. So let's say your page has 1,000 people that follow it. And
that's for a small business.
That's a great following. For a small business, if you live in a small town, you got 1,000 people that follow you. Your game's on point.
Yep.
Like I hope that's you. If it's not, like we can figure that out. But let's say you do have 1,000 people and you post something, you have consistent posting. Those posts are not going to reach 1,000 people, which is part of the reason you have to pay to play. You have to get this message out where it makes sense. And in that regard, those metrics that you would look at is typically the cost per engagement or the cost per like, or the cost per click. And that really, not to go too far in detail of like what that really means, but if nobody's clicking on your ads, then your cost per engagement or like or click increases. So the quality of what you're going to put in front of people highly affects the cost per like or click or share or comment. So what you're putting in front of people matters almost as much as how many dollars you would put behind it.
And that's why you really need to test things like your images and the messaging that you're using. So, and that brings us right back to that metrics question. So, what is a successful test then for this messaging? Can you give us some benchmarks?
Yeah, I'd like to. So, in terms of what we look at a lot in Manta using Facebook is click-through rate.
Yep.
So we're going to put ads in front of people that don't know us because we want them to know. We want them to know the value that we're providing, and our click-through rate is directly associated to the cost per click. So if we're going to look at our click-through rate, and if it's a 0.1%, which is like a point, that seems very low, and it is very low. Like we need that to be higher, but our cost per click is going to be way too high to make that really make sense. So that I think is like a baseline of like this click-through rate being like 0.1% is like bottom of the barrel. Like we really want to shoot for like a 1%.
Yeah, if you're doing 2%, you're doing just fine.
Yep, 2%. I mean, it also depends. And here's where it gets like a little bit more complicated, which our marketing pros are better explaining this like on the business to business case.
Yes, and that's an important distinction. This really matters by what your goals are for your business, what industry you're in, who you're trying to target, and what you're trying to get out of it. So all of this with that caveat in mind, that if you want us to get really specific about how to do this for your business, go ahead and type your industry into the comments or call up your marketing pro and ask them to walk you through this.
Exactly, because this like click-through rate metric that we brought up is going to vary. It's going to vary by business. It's going to vary by audience that we're going to put these ads in front of. And what that means is, am I gonna boost this post to my page fans, or am I going to boost this post to people who don't know my business? And that click-through rate is going to vary widely between those two audiences, which kind of gets into the details of like, if I'm going to spend $20 on a post, like who do I want to see it? And that's really where like our marketing pros come in handy, because they have the experience to say like, this is a good idea, or like if you're going to spend $20 on Facebook, this is the way you should kind of do this.
Yeah.
Because there's so much variance. So I'd like to say there's like a benchmark, like paid search is a little bit easier to say like 2%, 5%, like the higher the better. But Facebook is really, we're paying just to put ads on the space, and that's going to vary by who we're going to send it to, what the post is, what the goal is, and that click-through rate or that cost per click is going to vary. So they all have different benchmarks.
Okay, so we've talked about different types of Facebook ads, and there are quite a few of them.
There are.
So let's go through some of the ones that you think might be best for small business owners who are just starting out.
So let's define like they're just starting out. Are we saying like they don't have a page and they just created a page?
No, they've got a page for a little while. They've got a pretty good following, and they really just want to amp it up with a good Facebook campaign that promotes an event is one thing they could do. A sale is another thing they could do. We've got lots of options here. So let's think of a campaign for some of them.
exactly. So you've got a little bit of a following going. You're posting on your Facebook page, and you say, I want to get more out of this. Like, what is a good idea? And we always think in terms of small businesses, because that's who we're helping. In small businesses, typically there's an opportunity to have an event at your store or at your shop, and that's a great way to drive offline activity. So if you can't sell stuff online, you need people to come see you, to shop in your store. Creating an event of something that you have going on, maybe you have a sale or a promotion, or there's just a networking thing that you want to connect people, or you say, hey, let's just make something up. Like, let's get people in here and have a theme and make it fun. And you create an event on Facebook, and that's a great way to put something in front of people and see how many people are interested in this event. So like, we've used those extensively. We use them for some of our webinars and some of our events. It works well for us. It gives you something to measure against that's not a sale, but it does still give you an idea of what's working well, and we're looking at the cost per event response. So events are a great way. The second is offer claims. A lot of our small businesses have something to offer where they can offer a discount or a buy one get one, or a promotional product to go with a service for a limited time. And that's where you have the ability to create an offer on Facebook and advertise that offer. And then you're just advertising against people who are saying, I'm interested in this offer, or I want this offer, which is similar to like Groupon.
Right.
Oh, cool. Like, yeah, I'll totally take this offer. But what that does is it sends that person on Facebook a message to their Facebook page and to their email. So they're going to get notified that they claim this offer, which increases the likelihood that they're going to go use the offer. The second part is that you can set an expiration date on the offer. Say, well, this is great. Like, I'll give people 10% off for this limited time, and it expires on this date.
Right.
And when you create an offer, you have the ability to say, remind these people 1 week before that expiration date. And what that does is send a reminder to everyone who claimed the offer. So my top two ways I love to use Facebook for small businesses are events and offer claims, because I get so much exposure through the offer claim of sending another message to somebody that doesn't cost me anything. Once they claim that offer, I get to talk to them again directly for free. The event response, I get to drive them to me. I get them to come into my store, and then I know how many people did I get to come to this offer or this event, and then how many people actually came into the store, and then I can set a benchmark for doing it again and again and again.
Yeah. So you mentioned offers. Does a small business owner need to have an offer or a sale to advertise for their product or service?
It's yes and no.
Okay.
So it's not to say that you need to have a promotion or a free something to do this, but in the effectiveness and what I've seen across a lot of different businesses in doing this is that if you have something to give on the offer claim, it works a lot better.
Okay, all right. So we've talked a lot about using demographics to target your ideal customer. Can you get a little bit deeper into that, what that means, and how small business owners can do that for themselves? Yeah,
absolutely. This is the reason Facebook works so well. Is that there's so many ways to look at who am I gonna target, who am I gonna put these ads in front of, who am I gonna boost this post to, and a lot of as we create our personal Facebook profiles, we're listing where I live, the places that I've lived before, where I went to school, how old I am, I have kids, I'm married, or I'm single, or I'm a homeowner, and you have a lot of ways to target people based on everybody providing this information on Facebook. Maybe it's where they work, and so that gives you the opportunity to say, well, my business, let's say you're a salon, and it's mostly women that come into your salon. Well, you would want to say well, I don't want to advertise to men, unless I have an offer for Valentine's Day, and I'm like, hey guys, get this for your wives or girlfriends, and then you can decide I want to serve this to men or I want to serve this to women. Yeah. Or I know that nobody over the age of 40 is really going to come to my business.
Right.
Or I am, maybe I am a business that has an elderly demographic, and then I can pick that. Maybe I need people who are retired, and I can pick 65 and up. But I know that they typically own a home, that they're married, that they have kids, and all of these are kind of data segments that you can pick out. And there's so many. I mean, there's way too many to list. Like, we could spend 2 hours just going through all the different things.
Yes.
But it's convenient enough once you're in Facebook to say, like, you can just browse through, and you can see all the different categories of ways you can look at who's on Facebook. But that point comes back to looking at audience insights.
Right. Knowing your ideal customer. If you know, you can pick all the demographics of your ideal customer, but if you don't know who that is, Facebook Insights is really a great way to figure that out through whoever is already following you and engaging with you.
And Meta, as a large business, we use it extensively. So we can say, these are all our small businesses that are using us, but what does that mean? Like, who are these people behind the small business, like at the large level? And so we can just load in our customer list into Facebook, and it'll tell us the percentage of men to women, the percentage of homeowners to renters, the percentage of single to married, or you have kids, or your shopping habits, or what type of lifestyle you have.
So you're getting into lookalike lists, and that one way you guys can do that is take an Excel file of the emails of your current customers. So if you're getting those from just your day-to-day business stuff, you can put it into Facebook. Now, security, Facebook does not keep these email addresses in there, so don't feel like you're selling out to Facebook. But what it will do is take the demographics of the people on the list that you uploaded and create a list of other Facebook users that look really similar. So that's kind of what Dan's getting into now. And it's a really great way to find that ideal customer in other people in your area.
Yeah, that's a great point, Heather. Lookalikes are extremely valuable.
Okay, so we were talking about who our small business owners are, and we've got one that just wrote into us, John Taylor, and he's telling us that my Facebook ad campaign generates 600 to 1,000 views of my video every day, and he's only putting a 5% daily budget on that. Go, John. This is a great example for other small business owners that there really is such a low barrier to entry for doing Facebook advertising, and clearly John has gotten a lot of return on that. That brings us to another point, though. You don't necessarily have to create new ads all the time. If you hit on one that's working for you, you can continue to run that, right?
Exactly. That's a really good point. I'm glad you brought up, because let's say we're posting on our page often, and we're getting a good engagement on each post, but then, man, this one post, like, everyone liked it, everyone shared it.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to just promote this for a longer time.
Yeah.
Like it works. Like, some things just work. This message works. Let's test it against people who look like my page fans, or my customer list who aren't my page fans, or people who look like my customer list. Now, I do want to bring up with John, like, that's great. Like, the views and the daily budget, like, that's great. When I think of videos, I like to use videos because Facebook allows you to collect the audience of the people who watched the video. Not to say that you're not going to see, like, the names of the people who watched it, but you can collect.
They make a list.
They make a list.
For you.
They make a list that you can then target with other ads. So let's say, John, you got a lot of people who watched this video total as an ad, and then in Facebook, in your audiences, they automatically generate, you watched 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100% of that video, and then you can take your posts, maybe your posts that do really well, and you can put it in front of the people who watched that video. And we can kind of mash up, like, who is the best customer. Like, I know these people watch this video, so they must be interested. And people who watch the whole video versus none of the video, there's a difference there.
Yeah, they're definitely more interested in what your business is talking about. So if you can then put in front of them ads about taking an action, they're already engaged with you. So you can really tell from there what messaging is resonating. So, okay. All right, so next question we've got is, how can small business owners track how well leads coming from Facebook convert? So say we were talking about click-through rate before. We've got people coming from Facebook ads. Now they're getting to my site or my Manta profile or they're walking in the door. How do we know that they came from Facebook, and what's a good way to really get some metrics around these people?
So there's a convenient way to generate leads from Facebook, and they have a lead form ad, and that is a very simple way for somebody to click, say, I'm interested, okay, here's my information, it auto-populates, and boom, and then that goes to your Facebook ad account, and then you can call that person back.
Yep.
But outside of that, you really have, that really depends on the business owner to say, this person, I know this user came in from Facebook because that's where I got their information. And then did they buy or not? Is, for a small business, that's kind of how it is. Like, it's really going to depend on you to say, this is the list of people that filled out forms on Facebook, and then I got those in my Facebook ad account, and then I called them back, or I consulted with them and they turned into a customer, as opposed to I got this list of people, or I bought a list of people, or I generated through paid search, or I ran an ad on the radio. I at least know that these people filled out a Facebook form.
Yeah.
And that's really what you have to go off of. It's going to be, for a small business who's not really going to invest in the tracking from the Facebook lead form to their CRM to know that these leads came from Facebook as opposed to paid search or their email list, or other ways they're going to advertise. It's a little bit hands-on, but it's really actually very important to watch this, because you want to know, like, well, 50 people filled out lead forms on my Facebook ad. How many of those people actually bought? But you at least know they came from Facebook, because that's how you're exporting them. So it's a little bit hands-on at that point.
And it's a great way to know your ROI too. So if you've got 50 people that fill out the lead form, and one of those turned into a sale for $2,000, well, you know that you can spend up to $2,000 now to get more leads into that funnel for you, because it's really paying out. So
yeah, exactly.
That's a good point. Okay, so do you want to get into if they've got a website and they've got what Facebook Pixel is? Do we want to go there?
We'll touch on it briefly.
Okay.
The details are a little bit technical, and that would be better to call into our marketing pros and talk to them about it. But from the Facebook Pixel is, if you have your website,
yes,
and you have the ability to place pixel code on it, or what we really do is we use Google Tag Manager, which is an easy way to put pixels on sites without having to need a developer to go in and like code this. Like, I'm not a developer, but
Neither
Tag
one.
Manager lets me just put pixels where I need them. But it's a way to know that somebody either saw this ad or they clicked on this ad.
And then what they did afterwards.
Yeah, and what they did after. Did they fill out the form? And these are things you would have to set up in your website tracking, which our marketing pros can go through with you. But that's kind of like, it's easier to keep it high level and for you to really talk to a marketing pro at Manta about your business specifically, what website you have, and what's available to you. And they'll be able to give good options of like, okay, so you're going to get these leads from Facebook on the lead form ads, and then we're going to need to put these in an Excel doc, or like we're going to need to create a list somewhere of these people.
Right.
Or maybe you have a website and we can put the tracking on, and then we can measure it through the ad account on Facebook. A couple of different ways, but it's really a business on business scenario, so definitely reach out to the marketing pros and talk to them.
Yes. All right, so our last question is, what are some tips for messaging and visual in ads? We were talking about you need to optimize your ads, you need to test different messaging. What are some things that are just quick, good practice, best practices
absolutely.
for these?
The ad is the most important part of Facebook. It does. I mean, you can put ads in front of different people all day and measure it, but like the quality of that ad makes a huge difference. And I always refer to it like, how do we stop the scroll, right? We've all been there just like flying through Facebook until something catches our attention. Well, we need to catch the attention, because we can't get somebody to click unless they stop the scroll. So typically we're looking for a contrast against Facebook. So Facebook's like kind of a blue back, like the toolbar, and a lot of the text is blue and the background's white. So bright colors in ads on the images, or things that really stand out against that white and
high
light blue
contrast
background is definitely going to be the most important of like getting the attention. The next part is actually having clear, concise message about you got them to stop scrolling. So in limited text, you know, we can't really create a
No
post.
novel.
No novel. Don't write the novel.
You don't need to tell them everything that they need to know. You just need to get them to take an action.
Exactly. If your text on your post is so long that they have to see more to read it, it's not going to work.
They say less than 40 characters is ideal, right?
You have up to 90 on an ad. On a post, you can have a lot of copy, but again, like nobody's going to click see more after they stop, unless it's really compelling. But typically, clear, concise messaging. Why did you get them to stop? And then, what is the value prop? You got to tell them, contact us today, come to our website, stop in at these times, get the message across clearly and concisely. Once you get them to stop, you need to test a few different ways. Like we create multiple ads, so many ads to run against all the audiences that we're targeting, and we have to test is get started, or join now, or
learn more.
Yeah, learn more, sign up. All these things, all these call to actions make a huge difference. But first you gotta get them to stop the scroll.
But don't be afraid to ask them to do something. That you need to tell your audience what you're asking of them for them to take an action. It's important.
Exactly.
All right, so if you guys have any questions, you can keep writing to us in the comments, and we will answer you within the comments. Thank you, Dan, so much for joining us
Thanks
today.
so much for having me.
All right, and lending your expertise. And next week, tune in Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. We'll be talking about Google certifications. All right, thanks, guys.
See ya.